This podcast is rated S for spoilers. Listener discretion is advised. Don't forget to view our spoiler-free companion video on our Half Past Podcast channel on YouTube. Welcome to the Half Past Podcast. This is episode 65, the movie review of War for the Planet of the Apes. We will also be discussing Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets trailer. I'm Graham Ricks, and here with me is my friend and co-pilot Ian Jones.
Let's get our ape on.
Let's get
your
our ape on.
Get your ape on.
Man, that you just excited? Weren't you excited the whole time?
Well, I'll
leading
tell you
up to War for the Planet of the Apes.
Well, I'll tell you. I got a little bit more excited, and I think I've said this before.
Yeah, I think I know what you're gonna say.
I've never wanted to go and see one of these movies, but I'm always glad. Every time I'm glad that I did.
Right?
It's like, oh, I'm going to see a Planet of the Apes movie, but I'm always happy that I did afterwards. And this time they had this incredible poster. Oh, I left it in the kitchen. It's not in my office.
Nice.
They had this incredible poster of Caesar, which I'm going to get framed.
Nice.
And I'll put in my office. Yeah, and the guy taking the tickets is like, yeah, we have these posters if you want one. And he was so not thrilled about it. But I looked at this poster of Caesar, and I was like, this is awesome. This is great. I know right where I'm going to stick it.
Nice.
And so I took one from him, and it sat in the seat next to me the entire time.
Nice.
Watching a movie about himself.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So me and the poster, we got our ape on.
Nice. God, man. I was excited all the way up, pretty much since the last movie. I was excited about War for the Planet of the Apes. And I was just so happy to see it, and it's kind of been great. It's been great. So, before we get too ape crazy here,
you mean bananas?
To talk about
Try not to go bananas on me over there, Graham.
Where we have Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. So this movie's already out because we're kind of doing a makeup cast now. But we're going to go ahead and talk about this trailer. And I've never really had much to say about the trailer. And I've seen that trailer probably more than any other trailer. It seems like every movie I've been to for the past 6 months, this one has shown up. And the only thing I've always thought about the whole time is that it looks like a special effects mess. Like there's just a ton, it looks like there was nothing was shot on location anywhere. They didn't even try. And I'm okay with that if it looks fine. And from looking at the trailers, it looks okay. So I'm just not crazy about it, but I don't think it looks bad. I don't think it's just freaking Justice League where it just really just doesn't look right. Right.
Well, I suppose there's something about it being an alien environment, or the fact that it's the city of 1,000 planets, to where might be tough to film on actual locations.
Yes,
and then everything
on actual locations.
Might need to be sound stages.
Because from what I've seen, a lot of the shots look like very alien-looking worlds. So there's only a few where it's just it's a beach-looking place. It's you probably could have filmed that somewhere. But,
right, yeah, but it doesn't seem like they did.
No, it doesn't seem like they did. But then again, if you had the one shot, the one location, it would make everything else look weird anyway. So I get the decision to do so because all the planets do look very alien from what we've seen. So,
I mean,
it is.
Fortunately, because this is coming late, and I'm going to be taking my girlfriend to see this movie. This is one we wanted to see together.
Yeah.
I haven't heard much about the movie, and that leads me to believe it hasn't done well in the box office. But I'm not really trying to judge that because, this is one of the things where we complain about reboots and we complain about remakes. And here's something that we've never seen in film before. It's based off of a comic book. But, it's an original movie for us to go and see. And then no one goes and sees it. It's a big budget film. And then people aren't going to check it out. And this is exactly why Hollywood has gotten in this habit of, the Fantastic Four reboots, Planet of the Apes, even though those have been really good. But, in 2 years, we're going to have to watch a Han Solo movie that doesn't have Harrison Ford in it. And in 2019, we're going to have to watch another Ghostbusters movie.
Yes.
By the same filmmakers who had that train wreck on the last one.
And it's one of those things where if you want something different from Hollywood, you hear people complain about reboots and comic book movies and all this and sequels all the time, but these are the same people that aren't going to see original movies. And the thing that talks is money. Money always talks. So Hollywood's going to go where cash is, and that's all there is to it. They care less about making great movies than they do about making money because it's a business, and that's just how it works. What we hope as audiences is that they get the big bucks and we get good movies. That's what we hope happens, which is what has been happening recently with some of these, you get Wonder Woman and you're just like, take the money, but the fact of the matter is you hear a lot of people complaining about that, and it's like you have to support it in order if you want it. And that's just how it works because it's a business. And studios don't care about anything but the money, which is why you get so many Transformers movies.
So many Transformers movies.
They make a ton of money, except for this last one I don't think did so well. But if they make a ton of money, they're going to keep making them. And that's all there is to it.
Well, that's a good point. So, that's a good point. And anyway, I don't know that I have much to really add other than I have been waiting to see this movie. I think visually it's going to be stunning.
I think so, too.
And it should be a lot different than anything we've seen so far this year. So, looking forward to checking it out this weekend.
Usually with movies like this, and they start advertising directors in their previous films, usually they're better movies, but we'll have to see what happens with this one because it inspires a certain amount of confidence in the director if he's going to allow that to happen. You know what I mean? So,
well, and if you think about it, I mean, really, the big movie on that list probably, and the cult favorite is The Fifth Element.
Which is a great movie.
Which is a great movie.
Yeah.
And this sort of has that vibe.
It does.
To it, but, you have to wonder if maybe a movie like that, which didn't get sequeled.
No.
Maybe that's a once-in-a-lifetime sort of thing for a director.
Yeah, and that's possible, too. And, I've had conversations with, people at work and just about how The Fifth Element has a lot of elements to it that should make it an awful movie, but it all works so well. Like, when you go back and think of the type of stuff that shows up in that movie, you're just like, there's no way this could be good. But it's just amazing. It's just really well done.
Right, yeah.
But when you have such crazy, characters and just,
characters.
A crazy environment that they're in, this version of Earth is just ridiculous. And there's so much stuff that happens. And the thing that sells that movie the most, freaking Fifth Element, is the world building. Everything seems like it should be this way, even though everything is ridiculous. It's just it's just there's so many little comments that happens in that movie where you have freaking Corbin Dallas is basically just I'm a meat popsicle. And you're just like, what the hell is that? I don't even know what that is, but clearly it belongs in this world.
I am a meat popsicle.
And then you have the guy in the background that's just like, smoke you. And you're just like, I don't know what that is. Why is everything so green? I don't know. Super green. Are we crystal green? Super green. I don't know. It's just stuff like that through that whole movie is just it makes it seem like it should be terrible, but it just works so well in that movie. And hopefully you get a little more of that magic in this one, too. So we'll see what happens. You got anything else?
No. What were we talking about? Okay, I need to get my ape mindset on. Let's do this.
Yep. All right, let's take a break, and then we'll get to war here.
Put on my grass skirt.
After the apes suffer unimaginable losses, Caesar wrestles with his darker instincts and begins his own mythic quest to avenge his kind.
Mystic.
That was tough. Mystic Quest is a totally different movie.
It's a Vision Quest ape style. I just realized that none of the apes are wearing grass skirts.
No.
So what am I thinking of?
I don't know what you're thinking
of. All right. Nope. Moving on.
This movie's directed by Matt Reeves. He also directed Cloverfield and Let Me In, and he's going to be doing the new Batman movie coming out. Have you heard about that one?
I have. Yes.
Right?
A lot of controversy, potentially.
There is some controversy, potentially. And then I remember they were announcing that this one's going to be more of a detective story, which would be like closer to a lot of the comic books were.
He's the greatest detective of all time.
Greatest detective of all time.
It isn't Sherlock, it's Batman.
And so the thing that's really interesting about that is that that's the thing that's kind of been absent from like just about all the movies is they really haven't shown a lot of his detective instincts, which is a really integral part of Batman.
It's sparse. It's been very sparse.
Yes. So we'll see what happens when they do one that's like full on detective. I wonder how, like, I think nerds will probably like it, but I wonder how the rest of the general audience will accept that. I don't know.
I mean, I think, for one thing, in like a 2-hour movie, it's sort of tough to watch Batman struggling to solve something.
Right?
So maybe it makes more sense from an entertainment value if he's just punching the Joker in the face the entire time and you're sitting there with your popcorn and you're like, oh yeah, I can dig it.
Oh man.
Ooh, but Matt Hardy in a mask, what's he saying? What's he saying? What's he saying? I will punch you.
Daniel Jones, Tom Hardy.
Oh, whatever. Matt Hardy.
That's a totally different movie. There.
Matt Hardy, the wrestler. Tom Hardy. Twist of fate. I'm gonna hit you with my twist of fate. Wait a minute. Are you Tom Hardy or Matt Hardy, the pro wrestler? I'm really confused now. You keep talking about swanton bombs and twists of fate. What is going on here?
Oh, man, you're bringing up my childhood.
All right.
I like it.
Yep.
This movie starring Andy Serkis as Caesar. Obviously. Lord of the Rings, King Kong, and he was also in The Adventures of Tintin as Captain Haddock. Woody Harrelson as the Colonel. He started his career in like Cheers. You remember Cheers?
Yes.
The bartender.
Right. He was added after. I can't remember the coach's name when he died.
Craig T. Nelson.
That's a coach, yes. Oh, you beautiful dick. But Woody Harrelson was cast because at the time, prime time was being taken over by this young actor named Michael J. Fox.
Yes.
And so they went younger after Coach died, the other coach, and they cast Woody Harrelson in Cheers.
Yep. He's also in White Men Can't Jump, which is the one that I always reference, in Kingpin.
Yeah, you would like that movie. You would like a movie called White Man Can't Jump.
Have you even seen that movie?
Yeah, parts of it. I've probably seen all of it.
Oh, man. Steve Zahn is Bad Ape. He was in Out of Sight. He also was in Chicken Little and Dallas Buyers Club. That's quite a career. Karen Knovel is Maurice. She's been in Supernatural, 2012, and Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Amaya Miller as Nova, or is it Amia? Is it Amia?
I don't know.
It might be Amia Miller as Nova. She's a young actor, so she's only been in Lights Out and like MacGyver, and that's like the only thing she's done.
Wait, what? MacGyver?
You know, the new series, the reboot series with Havoc.
No.
Why are you giving me a blank stare right now?
They rebooted
you haven't heard
MacGyver?
You have. How do you not know this?
No. What?
They rebooted MacGyver like last year or the year before last.
Wow, it must be doing really well. Seeing as I'm giving you this blank stare, like, what the hell are you talking about? MacGyver was 25 years ago.
Well, the actor that did Havoc, I cannot remember his name, from X-Men, is MacGyver.
Havoc. Huh.
How do you not know that? You know the actor, though, right?
Yes. Yeah.
From X-Men.
I do.
Yeah, they chose him to play as MacGyver.
Sounds awesome.
So, well, I haven't seen any of it yet, but, you know.
What did they do with his hair?
What do you mean what they do with his hair?
Like,
they
does he have the bushy, like, you know,
no, he has the long
back thing?
No, he's got just the long hair. He kind of looks like Havoc from in the later one, in Apocalypse, where his hair is long.
Nope.
Terry Notary as Rocket, motion capture guy for the most part. So he's been in Avatar and The Adventures of Tintin and the Hobbit movies also. Ty Olsson as Red Donkey. He was in Dragon Tales, the A&E movie Flight 93, and then Supernatural. He has a recurring role in Supernatural. Michael Adam Thwaite as Luca. He's also just like a voice actor, but he's been in Stargate SG-1, and he also is currently doing the Lego Ninjago Masters of Spinjitzu TV show on like Cartoon Network. Toby Kebbell as Koba. He's also been in Rock and Roller, Warhorse, and Fantastic Four, and we've talked about Toby Kebbell multiple times before. Because he's been in quite a few of the movies we've reviewed, and he's one of those actors that's a decent actor, but somehow he ends up in some bad movies, and I'm not sure how that happens, but it just
and in the good movies he's in, he's an ape,
right? What does that tell you?
I don't know. I don't want to jump to any conclusions or offend people. But yeah, he played King Kong. He was Ape Kong.
Yep.
And he was Koba.
Gabriel Chavarria as Preacher. He was in Freedom Riders and East Los High, and that's all I have for these actors here. So we're going to take another quick break, and then we'll get into the fun part of the podcast here with our quirks and likes.
Ooh la la.
Alright, Jones, let's get to our quirks and likes section after we have a hilarious laugh during the break. Let's just...
Wait a minute. Well, we're gonna play that.
You know,
right?
I might tack it in at the end of the podcast as a special little thing that people can. So I'll just tease that.
Strolling down memory lane with Richard Dean Anderson.
Yeah, well, I'll just tease that, and then I'll put it in at the end of the podcast. But my main quirk about this movie is that. And I was hoping you could help me out on this one, because I feel like there was an explanation, but I didn't think it was good enough, and maybe I misheard. So why exactly does the military care about what this guy's doing in this little area here? Do we know what that is?
Yeah, well, the big issue is that he went AWOL and started killing his own people. Which is fine, but why would the entire military come down? The only thing I could think of, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, the only thing I could think of is that because there were so many weapons stockpiled there, they wanted the facility back.
Maybe, but that's not really explained in the movie.
No, it isn't.
I just didn't understand the motivation of having them this epic battle at the end of the movie. That's so awesome.
Human
but it's like
versus human.
The whole concept of them coming down towards that, I didn't understand why they did that. And from what makes more sense to me is if And I can't remember, like, it's been years since I've seen the old TV series and the old movies. But from what I remember, wasn't, like, I'm pretty sure Alpha Omega was, like, the bomb, like a major bomb. And so he might have gotten control of a dang bomb that could have been really terrible. And maybe that would explain it. But they don't really show that in the movie unless, as far as I know. But I think that's how, like, the old one was when they introduced Alpha and Omega. So I'm just not sure what happens with that.
Yeah, I don't know. The only thing is, and it's kind of tough because the villain of this, the Colonel, is not in his right mind.
No, he's not.
So when he explains what the issue is, and you find out that he's killed his son...
Yes.
Because his son has, quote unquote, started to de-evolve. You begin to wonder if if the Colonel's reality and what he tells Caesar, like how much of that is accurate.
Yeah,
I mean, it might have been that the Colonel was, far more dangerous to the humans, to the other group of humans. It seems weird that they would put so much of their resources into fighting their own kind if there's not very many humans left. So, yeah, I mean, I think I see what you're... I think I see the issue, and I'm not sure that the explanation is entirely satisfactory.
Well, the only other quirk that I have about this movie is really just the girl in the escape scene is, and this is just a little minor thing, and that's because I feel like they are the worst guards ever during that entire sequence, because she's walking around, she walks right in through the front door.
Yes, right.
And goes to the Apes. She goes to Caesar, and she walks like back and forth. And I'm like, and there's lights everywhere, and there's clearly a shot where, like, the spotlight kind of gets her a little bit, and like, is nobody looking? Nobody's looking at all. And then the escape, when they get the kids out, they're like on the line. I'm like, all you have to do is somebody just needs to glance up. You know what? Like, just look, just glance up for a second, and you'd be like, oh crap, they're all escaping. But that scene bothered me so much.
It's an ape escape.
It's an ape escape.
It's an ape escape.
And I absolutely, like, it's such a minor thing to the movie because guards are usually just dumb in movies anyway, because that's just how they handle things like that. But it just like bothered me so much.
They can't get away, right?
Yeah. They can't get away.
But for an organized unit, that was able to capture so many apes.
Yes. Yes.
It does seem like they got a little lackadaisical.
Right?
Keeping them in their cages.
Like, I almost expected, like, there's definitely a scene earlier where they're all kind of, like, messing around and maybe even drinking and partying a little bit. But there wasn't anything in that scene, and I almost wanted to see just a shot of them just passed out. Like, a few of them are just passed out, just to show that not everybody's on post. I don't know. It was just so weird to see, like, really nobody's paying attention to this at all.
The night before they're expecting a huge fight too.
Right? Like, how are you not prepared and ready and looking around constantly? Like, nobody's paranoid about what's going on. It just seemed, even just with the mental state of the Colonel, like, you think even him would be, like, more
like
paranoid,
he'd always be looking out at them.
Right. Yeah, right.
Why are there only 12 apes in the giant ape cage now? Shouldn't there be hundreds? There's just like 20 of them? Where are they?
That just bothered the hell out of me in that thing, and it's so insignificant to the actual movie. So it's just like a little quirk of mine that just really ticked me off. I was just bothered by it through the whole scene. But that's all I have, man. What do you got?
Well, here's what I've got. So my biggest gripe about the movie, which they ended up solving like 40 minutes later, but as I was sitting there, I was stewing in my seat like, God, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And that was, the Colonel knows where Caesar sleeps. Like, right off the bat, they find where Caesar is. He kills his wife and son, believing it's him. But then the human army retreats. Like, that made no sense to me.
Yes.
Like, from a military standpoint, when Caesar and the small group are going after the Colonel, and they interrogate that one abandoner, that one traitor.
Yes.
The intelligence that, they're going to join a larger force from the north, like, that really bothered me. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, they've got the apes pinned. Caesar's talking about having to basically sneak out of there, because they're surrounded and they've been under siege for so long. And that makes no sense from a tactical standpoint, that you would then take your foot off the throat of your enemy. And then, of course, it ends up being that, they captured the apes anyway, I guess with some other force. And that, the Colonel's attention is now turned to someone else other than Caesar.
Yes.
Which I thought was sort of clunky, but for the longest time in the movie, I was just like, this is terrible. Like, this is such a plot hole for me.
Yeah.
And I really didn't even like that they captured all of Caesar's people without really showing what that was, because that seems like such a monumental scene.
Yeah,
and it doesn't happen.
Yeah, instead they choose to have the point of view from you following Caesar.
You following Caesar.
So they don't cut back to it. They stay with Caesar, and you are revealed with it the same time he is.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Which which is a good point. And I think from a storytelling standpoint, you can do that. It just seems a little clunky to me.
I get what you mean. It just doesn't flow as well as you would like it to. And you can tell that they're pushing during the whole movie, which is one of my likes, is how they kind of dealt with the mental aspect of Caesar. They have a lot of things with the group where they're saying, well, they're all like, you're leaving us, we need you here. And, and they're kind of touching on how he's basically not acting the way he should be as a leader. Like he's letting his emotions control what's happening. And you get a lot of that with his family and the group of apes when he's like, I'm going after this guy. And they're just like, well, this is not what we are here for, kind of thing. And so I can kind of get what you're saying, where it gets a little clunky because they're kind of pushing back and forth with that, and having a scene where they're all taken would make a little sense. But I think they were really trying to stay focused and being in the mental aspect of Caesar, which they have a lot of scenes in here that I really liked. And so but I can see how it could get clunky by the way they did it. So I understand where you're coming from.
One of the other little things, and this is sort of, from a storytelling standpoint, I'm willing to let it go because it leads into one of my likes. But I just have to say, the idea about the simian flu and the virus mutating,
yes,
which I'll get into as one of my likes. I guess the issue I have is why is the mutation affecting some people and not others? Because we see a scene where Caesar comes upon a father who can speak, who, does have all of his faculties, and yet he's hiding a daughter who couldn't, who, maybe has an IQ of 60 or 70 or something like that. And I found it odd. I liked what ended up happening towards the end of the movie, though, and we'll get into that. But I thought it was weird that it doesn't affect everyone equally, and so maybe that's one of the things about the Colonel being so indiscriminate that, you know, maybe people felt like he had to be stopped.
Yes, maybe that's why.
So I guess I just found it a little odd that the girl's father was completely fine.
Yeah.
The last thing, and this is a silly thing, but when the army finally brings food and water for the apes at, you know, what is essentially a work or concentration camp.
Yes.
I was incredibly disappointed that they didn't bring bananas for the apes. and I get it. All right. I get that it couldn't possibly be bananas.
Yeah, it couldn't be bananas.
Okay. But here's the thing. You have an expectation. All right. There's some things you just, you know, empirically want to see when you go to, like, the zoo. And there's not a bunch of apes eating apples. You're like, God damn it, that is not what I want to see. I do not want to see them eating a nice blend of fruits, which makes more sense. I want to see them eating a damn banana. That's what I came here for.
The thing is what would have been interesting is had they had the Colonel, like when he's talking to Caesar, eating a banana. And then he just, like, tosses it at him. Just, like, he eats, like, most of the banana.
He throws the peel at him.
And, like,
wow. That would have been incredibly offensive to apes.
Right? But he hates apes.
But he hates apes.
It makes sense for the character.
Oh, good. And I feel like if there were some super intelligent apes, they would hate that I'm bringing up the fact that there are no bananas in this movie. But I don't care. And, you know,
I swear that they consciously avoided bananas.
Right. They did.
I just think that's what they did.
But, and this was in one of my likes, they have no problem throwing feces at a guard. So I'll circle back to that. That's my deal. All right. Okay. That's it for me.
That's fantastic. All right. So we'll get into the likes. And I got quite a few likes.
Okay, go.
I love this freaking movie. And so, first of all, I have to say that just the performances all around were just great. I loved all the performances. Andy Serkis kills it again. I really even enjoyed Nova, like just how she was perceived or how she did this character who can't talk. She got a lot of acting out of her eyes, and that's a really important thing to do, and it's really impressive from a younger actor to do something like that, because there are older actors that can't do it. And so I think she does a really good job with that, and does well. Steve Zahn as Bad Ape, that was just like a fun thing to toss into this movie to kind of cut a lot of the tension that's in through this whole movie. So, and I thought that was really good too.
Could I say one thing about that, about this character and Steve Zahn's performance?
Yeah.
It was so close to being annoying. Like, wow, did they tightrope it?
But I knew you were going to say that.
But instead, it's wonderful. Like you say, it comes in at the right time.
Yes.
And it gives the movie balance. But it is so close
it is
to being really like close. This Jar Jar Binks type of thing.
I feel like there's more scenes with Steve Zahn, and they cut it. I feel like the editing is what does this. Yeah. I swear that they probably were like, this is probably too much. let's cut this scene, and they have it just right on the line, and you are dead on with that. I knew you were going to say that.
It is right there.
Yeah, right?
Tightrope, man. All right. Sorry. Go for it.
No, that's all I have for that aspect. But the other thing is I thoroughly enjoyed Koba in the last movie. And to have him haunt Caesar in this one is so appropriate, and I absolutely loved seeing him in there. Just a few little shots when Caesar's getting a little delirious and he keeps talking about how he's haunted by Koba, and having the apes that follow Koba, and they're the ones that are like loyal to the humans and everything. And it was just like such a great aspect to this movie to kind of put this little haunting of Koba inside of it. What
a clever thing too,
right?
Because that's a very human, that's a very relatable thing. Caesar has become far more relatable and I think sympathetic as a leader, as a character in the last two movies.
Yes, he has. And it has just been such a fantastic job with these guys. I can't believe how the writing and the storytelling of this series has been so good. And it continues in this one, and I just really enjoyed it a lot. And to add on to that, I really enjoyed how they were able to squeeze in all of the stuff from the original series and have it make sense. So them having his son be Cornelius, which Cornelius is a huge part of the later movies and the TV series. So they could continue the story on with Cornelius if they wanted to. Having, like I said earlier about Alpha Omega, was also in the original series, and how they used it as this group of vigilantes. Having the virus mutate, I absolutely loved having the virus mutate into this to where you get the de-evolving primitive humans, which further along transfers over into the Planet of the Apes. Because now well, what happens to the humans? They're still intelligent, but the virus mutates and actually de-evolves them, is what they keep saying, which is another just great aspect to this movie. I even enjoyed that they put Nova in, who couldn't speak, which is also from the original. So it just, everything that they did, they were able to write all of this into this movie and have it make sense and really just push it forward in such a great way. And one of the things I loved about this movie also is how it's open-ended. It has a very Toy Story 3 feel to it. It's like you have the first and the second and third movie, and it goes all the way through full circle. But it's open-ended to where if they did not do another movie, I'd be 100% happy. I would not have a problem at all. I feel like it ties everything up. It's Caesar's story, and you're just done with everything. But they could continue this story on if they wanted to. So not only does this story end, but they could start another. And I wouldn't even have a problem with that, because the way this one ends, it could be a new trilogy with Cornelius. Right, and it really wouldn't it would be attached to the first group, but really it would feel kind of like Star Wars, where it's not really, it's like the same story, but it's definitely a different group. You know what I mean?
And he could have an entirely different outlook. You know, I mean,
everything could change.
Yeah, the one orangutan says that, he'll know who his father is, but, I mean, kids sometimes aren't what their parents are. And so that would be a really interesting thing, I think, to see. Yeah. Especially as they're building a new civilization. And
I like it. I love how they ended this movie. It just works so well. It's homage to Andy Serkis's brilliant job as Caesar throughout the whole series, and it really leaves it, and it completes the story. But I wouldn't mind them going to the next step and seeing how Cornelius is. And I just loved how this movie ended. It was just so great. And that's the only likes that I have, man. So what do you got?
So touching on the performances, because we had this discussion last time, I really felt like Andy Serkis deserves to get acknowledged for these parts. It isn't going to happen. I think it's unfortunate that these movies come out so late and that the Academy just hasn't figured out the amount of acting that goes in, is just incredible. It's, it's digital makeup and everything, but, Caesar and Andy Serkis's performance, they're just incredible again in this movie, and maybe even more so.
I would say more
than in the last time,
which is impressive because he was so brilliant in the last one.
Yeah, and we were having that discussion too, that this guy has to get nominated for an Academy Award. I mean, it's more than just having animators and having the right team, but there is so much, visual effects in here to replace these actors, but the actors are just absolutely killing it.
Yeah.
So I agree with a lot of the points you made. I love that, just touching on one of the things you said, I love that there's a link between this movie and the very original, because I didn't see that coming, and I thought it was so clever to talk about the simian flu taking on this new aspect, this new potentially terrifying aspect, because when you go and you look at the original reboot, the James Franco one, one of the sort of genesis of the vaccine that makes Caesar so smart is really to restore brain function, to restore new neural pathways, because he's trying to save his father, who's suffering from Alzheimer's and is deteriorating quickly. And I think that's incredibly ironic,
right?
That now the simian flu is basically doing the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, it's spread because Caesar attacked, that jackass neighbor who was an airline pilot.
Yes, he was an airline.
So, all roads lead back to Caesar, and it doesn't. That's just one of those things that's neat, that's really clever, that things circle back in that way, that they're still thinking about the first movie made, and the one that started it all for this character.
Yep.
Okay, and then sort of the silly that I have, and that is that I'm so proud that the filmmakers allowed the apes to throw feces at a guard in order to lure him into a trap.
Into a trap, yeah.
I feel like that's one of those things that you write as a writer on a script and you're thinking, there's no way they're gonna do this. The studio's not gonna let this happen. But it's such a good shot.
Yes.
Twice this guy gets nailed by heaping piles of feces, and
it leads
excellent.
to it's not just the fact that they let it in, but it harkens back to how they're like this evolved form of ape, so they wouldn't be doing these things like that, yet these humans that are there expect it from them. And the fact that lures him into a trap.
Yes.
That's so high. So in other words, they're doing something extremely primitive, but it's a highly intelligent tactic.
but it's yes. And the fact that they know, like you said, that they know human beings expect this from them.
Yep.
And yet despise that behavior, so it's going to bring him there alone.
Yep.
and make him open the cage. Like it works on so many levels.
Yeah,
I was just geeking out about it as I was sitting there. And I mean, it's hysterical and everything. It's gross and hysterical, but it just works on so many levels. It's so rare that you see one thing like that just, oh, this is great. Oh.
Yep.
So good. All right. I think that's it for me, buddy.
Oh, is that all you got? Okay.
Yeah.
We definitely talked through my likes, so
yes.
that's probably why I stole some of your likes. But All right, if that's all you got, then let's go ahead and rate this sucker. And I think everyone knows how we feel about it. I think the performances are great. I think the storytelling is just so good. I enjoy the link to the original series in the original movies, and I love how it ends. And it's just so dang good. And so I'm gonna definitely say see it. And I'm probably going to buy the trilogy when it comes out. I'm just going to buy the whole thing and watch them back to back.
I'm going to say that it's 2 bananas up. or 1 chocolate banana.
Nice.
Cocoa banana. It's ape-tastic. Where does that fall on our rating scale? It's ape-tastic.
It's ape-tastic. Oh, that's great.
Why aren't there more banana flavored beers? We could open up a banana beer and watch the trilogy. There are none. Think about it.
No, there's nothing.
Damn it. We are missing out on something, my friend.
Nice.
Mike's Hard Banana Beer. The ape inside you. For the ape inside you. That would be on the bottle. For the ape inside you. Get your ape on.
Yeah, dang it, man.
Okay, so all right. Yes, I'm gonna say see it.
All right, so let's sign out.
Banana beer.
All right, so if anybody wants to contact us, we always have our home on the web at halfpastpodcast.com.
I'm also thinking there would be a light version for.
Nice.
Like us on Facebook.
Rate us on iTunes and Google Play.
We're on Stitcher and Libsyn.
Email us at halfpastcast@gmail.com. That's halfpastcast@gmail.com. Let us know if that banana beer exists.
Banana. Tweet us at halfpastpodcast.
Thank you for listening, and thank you for your support.
Ooh.
Next week. Well, probably the next couple weeks. Our schedules are just been hectic.
Yes.
But we'll try to get,
baby.
Yep, we'll try to get Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets done in the next couple weeks. We'll see what happens. And that's our
next definitely going to need to be the week after for me. But
yeah, I'm sure that's what
we are going to go and see it. We're going to get this done.
Yep, we'll get it done. All right, man. I guess that's it. This is the half past. What? You get what?
I was just thinking, they're missing out on an opportunity here to put the Minions into a Planet of the Apes movie.
Oh, gee, are you linking this again?
All right, it would just be. They would love it.
Oh. That's definitely a call back to the Minions podcast if you want to listen to that one.
Someone give me a banana. All right.
This is the Half Past Podcast. I'm Graham Ricks.
Jonesy.
See you next flick.
Oh.
Freaking Jones.
Say freaking Jones to me.
He's just like, what are you talking about, MacGyver? What
the hell are you talking about?
How do you not? Is that series still going on? I'm pretty sure it's in season 2 right now.
That would come up.
Yeah, 2016 TV series. I mean,
when I look it up, it's
Lucas Till is his name.
It's just photos of Richard Dean Anderson or whatever the hell this guy's name is. Young Angus. Mac.
That's not very good when you look up MacGyver. You don't get any photos of the new one at all. It's just
well, you have to specifically type in. Okay, I see what they did here. He kind of looks like him, especially with the jacket.
Right? It's kind of weird, isn't it?
But it's on CBS, so I know it's shit.
Yeah, it's not going to be good.
They may as well just reboot Jag, too. Have him meet young Jag. Young MacGyver meets young Jag.
Oh, man. Damn it.
Young David Caruso. Oh, damn it.
It reminds me of that, like, there's a... Richard Dean Anderson did not age very well. And there's a shot, there's like this meme of Richard Dean Anderson trying to fix his car. It's the older, like, it was like a couple years ago, so he's like overweight and he's like trying to fix his car.
What? Okay. Oh, you gotta play this part on the Richard Dean Anderson car. Is it a car commercial?
No, it's a real life photo of Richard Dean Anderson.
Oh my god. Whoa. That can't be him.
That's him, man.
That's gotta be some other guy. No. Holy shit.
Oh, man. And he's just got this puzzled look on his face.
He can't. Oh, MacGyver can't fix his car.
It's
oh
so
my god,
bad.
He looks so terrible. Oh my goodness. What happened to him? Like, I feel like I saw him and stuff not long ago. Then he put on like 100 pounds and aged 20 years.
Oh, man. Oh, my eyes are watering.
Don't know what the car stuff is all about. I was victimized by a computer glitch in the alarm system. The clacks and horns once begun, no stop. What? What the hell is he? I guess he ran out of characters in Twitter.
Oh, man.
Apparently, not only was he unable to fix his car, looking like he had no idea what a car was, but apparently the horn wouldn't stop going.
Oh, that's terrible.
So while he's standing there by his car and he has no idea how to fix it. MacGyver has no idea how to fix his car. And the horn's just going in the parking lot, and
so it just draws so much attention to him, and
it drew so much attention to him.
Yep.
Because people start thinking, my God, that looks like MacGyver's father. Overweight father. God, that's awesome. So there's our MacGyver story that we're going to work in.
Oh, man. Oh, that's terrible.
This made my day. All right. Back to our quirks. I hope this is in there. God, that's so good.
I don't know how I feel.
That's so good.
Oh, it's so terrible. Oh, man.
I'm sure that just gave me a cavity. It was so sweet and delicious.
All right, man. So you ready to get back to...
I'm ready.
Okay.